Hello, good evening. I'm Maurice Gibbs, and welcome to Speaking of Everything. And with me this evening, have none other than Independent Member of Parliament, MP, Mr. Maurice Lake. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty well, Laura.
Well, it's good to have you in the program, and thank you for accepting the invitation.
Okay.
So, 2015 was an interesting year for you, right?
It was a very interesting year, but also a good learning experience.
Uh,
And, especially for the people of St. Martin, because right now, all I see, St. Martin is at a crossroad. It's either we can go up or we can go down. But this is the opportunity for us to really focus on the issues where we can put our people first.
You know, a lot of people on the island over the last few years have been complaining that they're left out as local people, that people in government tend to forget them. You're a new member of parliament just recently. We have, what, a year since you're in parliament?
Correct.
Yeah.
It's just a year.
Yeah. And so there's a new government now, a government that you support. How you feel about the situation?
Well, I have a lot of confidence, Oral. It's one thing I always said, you can work with everyone in the best interest of St. Martin. And we have a very good coalition of 8 and leaders who really want to see the best for the people of St. Martin. Oral, what I'd like to mention too, is that's why I use the slogan, back to basics. What I meant with back to basic. Back to basic is putting your people first. We have to develop where our people can trust us, we can be open, transparent, and work together to see how we can solve and move St. Martin forward.
No, I mean, a lot of us, even here in this program, we joke a lot about back to basics, and we use it a lot because it's been one of your slogan.
Correct.
So you're saying that what you mean is that putting our people first.
Yes, we have to start putting our people first. And that's something, especially with my former party, which, we campaign on to be ready. But it's very important that we always, with any project, we have to include our people. And they have to be part of the forefront of everything we do. And that's something I really would like to continue to do, to serve my people in the right manner.
A lot of people on the street that I spoke with were supportive of your move. There were some that felt that you shouldn't move. How you feel about the whole situation?
Well, I felt good about the whole situation. The reason why, Oral, a lot of people don't know Maurice Lake. Maurice Lake is a very humble, simple person, but always put people first. And the reason why I take that a stand, because they look at it as ship jumping, but I always said, it's taken a stand and said, it's either 3 things I could have done. I could have quit, which Maurice Lake is not a quitter. I could have taken a stand of going with everything, just going with the flow, which is not, or take a stand. And I decided it's time for we to take a stand to raise the bar, especially in politics, and especially have more effective leadership to lead our people.
Now, there's quite a change because there was quite a crisis too recently with the previous government, and elections were scheduled for the 9th of February. Now, that's no longer the case. 26th of September 26th will be elections. Are you satisfied with that?
Well, let me put it this way. It was a very learning experience also for St. Martin, especially with this whole constitution process. But also, very important, Oral, is that we have to respect our constitution. And our constitution, there's nothing wrong with the constitution to my feelings. But one thing, the constitution was made for grown-ups. And I think we need to play political maturity here. Especially the governor, the excellency, was put in a very awkward position, which we know, based on the constitution and the articles, Article 32.2 is very plain and straightforward. If there's an elected majority in parliament, you have to make your position, there was a vote of non-confidence, you have to make your position available. All of a sudden you see Article 59 come into play, and then you put the excellency in such an awkward position, and these are the things where you get. But that's why the coalition of 8, we have to focus on electoral reform, but electoral reform is a process, but we have to focus on especially defining Article 59 and also ship jumping. It's something which we definitely have to make sure that it don't happen again.
When you look at St. Martin, and I mean, of all the members of Parliament in 2015, I think no other member of Parliament wrote more letters to the editor than you.
Yes, I agree with you. Because there's one thing I always said, you have to inform your people. You have to keep them educated in a way of letting them know what's happening within government itself. But for 2016, Oral, is where the Coalition of Eight, we have to set our priorities, but also quick wins to see how we can help our people to move forward.
You took a lot of hit on the first property purchase, but I noticed it was still purchased by government and then sold for $1.
Yes, that one really surprised me on that one. You know, take a lot of heat, especially, hey, you have a project to build affordable housing, but also within that project was also to do a sewing center, a calling center, and also why we can't develop and make our own traffic signs right here on the island. But all of a sudden you see it change, everything change, and sold it to a guilder. But what's very interesting to Oral, and I had a very good discussion with the former minister of roaming. I said, you know, Clary Connor, which was also a roommate for 3 years in Aruba with me. So he's like a brother to me. And I said, but Claret, you know, learn from my experience. Don't just don't go with the flow. Stop listening, and you have to do things in the best interest of St. Martin. How can you give divorce property to APS without a development plan and like government sit down beforehand and say, this is what we really want to do, set the criteria, and then you can give the land. But all of a sudden, he came to Parliament, we told him not to give the land, it's not a rush, and then all of a sudden the next day, you see Mr. Connor and APS in the newspaper signing away the land. Now, look at it, very interesting part, or the governor sent back the land beside. So now APS have the land, and we still have to discuss how and set criteria. So it's not a good thing in the best interest of St. Martin. But we have to sit down with APS now and ratify the situation.
When you look at the budget of St. Martin, and I was surprised when I heard the new Minister Richard Gibson Sr., mention the 200 million guilders in 5 years deficit that we owe. That's a lot of money to have a 200 million guilder debt so early on in just 5 years of our existence as a country within the Kingdom of the Netherlands.
I agree fully, Oral. Also very important to note, and that's why I always said in government, you know, we have to start cutting back on waste. And then I think the present Minister of Finance is doing a fantastic job by simply addressing the key issues within the budget itself. Not only that, I always said there's so much money out there to collect. Why are we always going toward the small man? You have where, Oral, in the last Parliament meeting, I brought forward, especially to the Minister of Finance, especially the marinas, why all marinas cannot contribute and pay their water rights. I also brought up where government-owned companies, all government-owned companies have to contribute to balancing the budget. I also brought up they have so many other wasteful spending by government. Here you have a lot of in government renting buildings, but nobody's in the building, and this is going on for years. Why we continue doing that? Water meters, electrical meters, all over the place. But then when you look, they don't know exactly who's connected to it. And these are things we can cut back on. But we focus more on going to yourself or some other small man and getting that type of money. Casinos, Mr. Gibson also mentioned, everyone have to do their part and contribute. So these are ways where you can really help out. What I did also, Oral, and just for the public, and it's good to let the public know, especially as a member of Parliament, I have right now an initiative law, which I would like to amend, where residence permits. Here you have where in the law there's a lay mistake which need to be corrected, where all residence permit, if the processing and application fee should be non-refundable. Why are we, let's say if the resident permit is turned down, they give back the monies to the person? No, that shouldn't be. it's a processing and a application fee which should not be refundable. So I'm amending the law right now, which hopefully in January I should have it completed and correct that situation.
What about rainforest? Because I noticed I saw a letter from you also with concern about rainforest. Are you not satisfied with the way that deal was closed with the previous government?
Well, let me put it this way, because I was the former minister who purchased the Emilio Wilson estate for the people of St. Martin. And it's very important that we realize what this is the only estate where you have the natural, cultural, and historical value of St. Martin. I'm saying, let me be open and transparent with the people and say, okay, instead of giving the entire estate to rainforest, why not include your other stakeholders? You have like Nature Foundation, the zoo. To this self, you have where the zoo is going through financial difficulty. Why the zoo cannot be part of Emilio Wilson estate? Agriculture. It's very important. Why we can't do agriculture there on Emilio Wilson estate? Instead of giving everything to rainforest, we have to sit back down with, and that's why I wrote an article on it and said, the Minister of Rome, have to sit down with rainforest, and also Mr. Henry Brookson, because he also have about 6 acres of the estate too, and come with one plan, we're going to benefit the people of St. Martin.
I know there was a lot of issue in terms of how much is paid annually on the lease.
Correct. That's also an issue there which need to be addressed, because if we're gonna, let's say, give it to one guilder 20 per square meter, but what are rainforests giving in return? They have to contribute back to the economy and also to different developments here on the island. So we needed to sit down and get a bigger picture, because I'll be honest with you, Oral, being part of the previous coalition, I had no clue what was happening with rainforests. And they could have asked me, because I was part of the first initiative purchasing of rainforests.
Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, it was December of 2014 that document was signed at the park, right?
Yeah, correct. And that was a very historical moment, and especially with Mr. Brookson. And I think this is something where sometimes you have very good projects, but the way how we communicate and we not involve everyone, there we have all kind of different situations like how we have now. So it's good that we have a government now which is going to communicate with the people and sit down with your landowners and do a win-win for everyone to benefit from the project.
Garbage is a big problem on St. Martin, and I know you was involved at some stage also in terms of solving this garbage problem. Where are we now with this new government?
You see the same thing with the garbage, in which the new minister of Vromi, which is a very young professional, God-fearing, and he's definite. I see a lot of good things he's going to do for the people of St. Martin. And this is one way you have to also sit down and look at the current situation with the landfill. Because, you heard plans was changed, and basically now he have to sit down and say, okay, sit down with GB, also with the farmer, they had a committee over it, and see exactly where we at and see how we can really get it. It was at the final stage, Oral. So I don't see where we should be changing plans now and all of that. But we have to do it and address the issue.
So what you're saying, maybe go back to where you left off when you was...
Yes, correct. Go back to where I left off. And that's something which I wish my former coalition partner would have listened and say and communicate better and say, hey, this is where I left off. So let me continue with the same process and finalize it in the best interest of the people of St. Martin.
GEBE, our local water and electricity company, we've seen GEBE go through some very difficult times in its history, and 2015 was not an easy time for GEBE. Right. But just recently we saw a lot of outages, got a lot of people upset in the way it was done. I mean, it's something that people think that should not happen anymore. Since GEBE purchased 2 or 3 large engines in the past years, where are we right now? Is it true that this new government that you support is blocking the purchase of a new generator?
No, that's not true. And I also wrote an article on it because, you got to tell it, and that's something which, as leaders, we have to be open with the people and tell them just as it is. And that wasn't true. And one thing, Oral, GB, is very dear to my heart also. And I always said GB have to play a very important role of moving St. Martin forward. Right now, the the present Minister of Romy is in the process of sitting down. He had a shareholder meeting with GB, with the Council of Ministers, and looking at how we can restructure the GB. Because GB need to be restructured, and especially focus on the issues and development which can solve the economy better and help our people. Example, I give you some simple example. You know, I'm a very diehard when it comes to the senior citizens. And I say, GB, do a pilot project, which you already started, to help the seniors change the light bulbs from regular to LED light bulbs. Another good thing to oral is renewable energy. Why GB didn't start and continue into renewable energy? You have so many other areas GB have to focus on, but we need to restructure them because, like I told GB, you don't want to hear no more court cases and this manager fighting this manager. We got to come together, restructure it in the right way to help the people of St. Martin.
And there's also the area of the St. Martin Housing Development Foundation. At one time, I know you was also involved. How is that now?
Well, that's also being restructured very well, and I think they really putting things in place and working very closely with government. They also had a meeting with the Minister of Vromi, and it went very well, and I see a lot of good things. And that's my whole situation, Oral. It's all about going back to basics, but doing things right in an open and transparent manner, which is going to help your people of St. Martin. That's all I want.
I saw where they had some plans to build some new homes. Are they still going to go through with that, or that was put on hold?
Yes, they also have some plans, and that's also in the making. Also, we have where behind the vineyard building, there's about a couple acres there. Why we can't do a nice affordable housing project there for the people of St. Martin? You know, why St. Martin Housing cannot be part of the APS to develop the divorce property? These are things we need to, because it's all about working together. We got to put aside our egos and see how we can move St. Martin forward.
So, so you right now you say you're satisfied with where things are going?
Well, I'm very satisfied, and I think with God's grace and everything, because I always said, you know, we have so many, like today self, I was reading the paper, all of these professional experts, outside experts, but at the end of the day, we have our own local experts here. Right. We have to realize where we want to take St. Martin. So we got to believe in each other, work together, put our people first, and see how we can help our young professionals to move forward.
I heard you mention sometime in Parliament about some issues with expatriate and the law on the taxation and that.
Yes, that's also one I brought up in Parliament last year, and I think I have to give the former Minister of Finance some credit too, because he listened and he decided he's going to abolish the expat law, especially within the public sector. Here they have the expat law. The expat law is where you have outside professionals, very skilled, come to St. Martin. They hardly pay any type of taxes. They get, let's say, the house rent paid for, everything paid for, in a sense. But then you have your own local professionals come back home, and then they got to go back home by their mother to live or something. The only thing is being paid, they give them a year where the transportation costs, and that's it. And I'm saying, here you can cut back, and the minister listened to me, and he did cut back on it, save a lot of money. Why we can't use that money now to help our young professionals? Now, right now we have a situation at immigration. The young professionals, why we can't help them? They say, yeah, MP, there's a situation with finance. But at the end of the day, it's something promised to the young professionals. Being put in at the immigration, being put in a situation where they was promised they're going to be moved to the mobile and everything, but help them out. It's our own. We got to start putting our own first. But we help everyone else and forget your own.
So you're saying, so you forgot to mention back to basics then.
We got to get back to basics, or we have to get back to basics, because if we can't help each other, who else can we, you know, that's the only way for St. Martin to move forward.
So we're not going to get you to stop saying back to basics?
No, because at the end of the day, St. Martin need to get back to basics, start putting our people first, and start also, like I said, being open, transparent, and winning your people confidence. Because sometimes you go in the community, I'm a community person, and when I go in the community, something hurt my heart to see how your own locals, who you know, come back with degrees and everything, you just sitting, waiting, and they're like, Maurice, what about me? I can contribute too.
Yeah.
But everyone else doing good, and your own is still here. So we
right.
have to put our people first.
I'll tell you something, MP Lake, don't be surprised in 2016 for the Carnival Calypsonian, you don't have a song called Mr. Back to Basics.
Well, let me put it this way. And I always saying, Oral, I just try my best with God's grace to take a stand, because you got to stand somewhere and decide this is the way how we should move forward.
So when you look back at 2015, you're happy, but they also said you're the man that made a change and gave the people a new government and some hope to include all people in the prosperity of St. Martin.
Correct. Like I said, Oral, 2015 was a learning experience, not only for myself, but for St. Martin in general, especially when it comes to the Constitution, looking at the different articles and everything like that. But also, I'm looking forward for 2016 because I'm sure everyone is looking and saying, I wonder, let's see what they're going to do now. Let's see what they're going to progress. Election is in September. Let's see exactly what they're going to do until. But I'm looking forward because I'm very confident of the coalition of 8, where we put all heads together. We can set some priority projects for the people, and especially one of our main focus should be balancing the budget and also reform. Reform where you just focus on the key points of defining Article 59 and also ship jumping, address those issues so that whatever happened from 2015, we'll never experience that again. And we have so many other projects which we can do for the people, but you have to include your people within these projects.
So you find that the people are very important.
Very important. Very important. You gotta put your people first. If you don't put your people, and especially young professionals, you gotta take care of them and make sure. Because St. Martin, one thing, Oral, to me, St. Martin is a very blessed place. And you see others that come and enjoy the blessings by your own, we don't take care of. For some reason, we left them out. And this have to change. Everybody have to be part of the development of St. Martin.
All right, so MP Lake, we basically out of time. I have
Our time run fast.
I gave you 80 seconds to close out, so a minute and a half at least. So.
Yes. Oral, I just want to tell the people of St. Martin, put their confidence in us. And deep down, I wish everyone, your family, a Merry Christmas, and especially to the people of St. Martin also wish them a Merry Christmas and looking forward for 2016 and a happy and safe enjoy the season.
So you're going to be drinking guava berry?
Oh yes, I have my family, my brother's here from Holland, and I'm looking forward, Christmas is all about family, or sometimes we get caught up in the commercial aspect of it, but it's about family and giving God thanks. That's all about for Christmas, and drinking some guava berry, as you said, and enjoying it with my family.
I know your mother don't miss the show.
Oh, no, she definitely is looking very keenly on this one here. And my brother is here too from Holland, and I thank God for family, because that's my backbone, It's a blessing.
MP Lake, I want to thank you. I want to wish you and your family all the best for Christmas and 2016 and everything that's good to come your way.
Thank you very much, Aaron.
And that's it for now. I want to thank all of you for watching this program over the year 2015. It's been a long time, been here. And 2016 will be entering our 33rd season, 33 years of this program, the 1st of March. And I want to thank all the sponsors, everyone that made me all over. Without my family, it would not be possible. My wife, who's the producer of the show, she does a remarkable job and assists me with this program. And the sponsors has been here for many, many, many years. And all of you that watch this program and give me your feedback all the time. I want to thank all of you. Wish you all the best for Christmas and the holidays and the best of health, wealth, and happiness in 2016. And I'll see you next time. Until then, good night. Take care. Bye.